Hi there, this is Mr. Roche and his accomplice Wilson. Welcome to Mr. Roche's Flip Class, Math 10, no frills, no thrills, low budget, low tech videos. This video is on linear relations, part 4, specifically the general form of a linear relation. That's ax plus by plus c equals 0. We're used to seeing a slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. This is just another form of the equation, and there's going to be one more that follows. Let me just put down Wilson, and I'll tell you what's coming up in this video. First, we're going to be talking about the parameters of the general form. There are certain restrictions to a, b, and c. Secondly, we're going to be finding the slope and the y-intercept of an equation written in the general form. And third, we'll be doing general form to slope y-intercept form conversions. So here we go. Okay, the parameters of the general form of a linear equation. Here they are. The terms are always listed in the order something x plus something y plus a constant equals 0. It's always that way. We don't put the y first and then the x or the constant in front. It's always this order. Secondly, the a must be a natural number. So it's got to be a positive whole number, no 0. Otherwise it wouldn't be an x. B and C must be integers, so they can be positive or negative whole numbers. No fractions or decimals will be allowed in this form. Okay, so here's some examples. Fix where necessary. If we look at this, we can say this is a natural number, integer, integer. This one's fine just the way it is. By the way, if this was 3, 9, and 6, we would actually be able to divide each of the terms by 3 and reduce it down to simpler terms. Okay, here we have, we don't have a natural number for a. We have a negative number. So we have to change this, but to change this we have to change all of these. The way I'd get rid of this negative is to multiply this term by -1. Actually, dividing by -1 would work as well. So I'm going to multiply this term, but I have to multiply all my terms by -1. So here's an equivalent equation written properly. 4x minus y minus 2 equals 0. Okay, those are the same equations. One's written properly, one is not. Now if I go to this one, I see, 2/3 x. Well, that's not a natural number either. I have to get rid of that 3. Problem is, if I multiply all the terms by 3, this term would be 3 over 2. This one will still have a fraction, and that's not permitted either, because these two coefficients have to be integers. So I'm going to multiply all my terms by a common denominator, which is 6. 3 and 2 have a common denominator of 6. So I'm going to multiply all my terms by 6. And these would reduce. And this would end up being 4x. These would reduce down to 3. 3 times 1y is positive 3y. And 6 times -5 is negative 30. Equals 0. Now we have a natural number and 2 integers. Everything's good, ready to go. Okay, this next slide is about finding the slope and y-intercept of an equation in general form. There are 3 ways to do this. A, or the first way, graph the general form equation by finding the x and y intercepts. Then use the graph, so we'll join those 2 intercepts with a straight line, then use that graph to find the slope and the y-intercept using methods that we've already learned. The second way, or B, is by using the appropriate formulas, which we'll discuss in a couple of slides from now. And finally C, by converting the general form equation to the slope-intercept equation, we can also readily see the slope and the y-intercept, which is something we learned earlier. We just have to learn how to convert. That's coming up as well. Okay, first, let's find the slope and y-intercept of an equation written in general form. First, we're going to find the x and y intercepts and join them with an extended line. Then we're going to determine the slope and the y-intercept using that graph. Okay, so here we have an example. 2x plus 3y minus 12 equals 0. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is find the x and the y-intercepts. So the x-intercept, well, I know that the x-intercept is where the graph crosses the x-axis, so I know that locations where y is equal to 0. So I'm going to make y equal to 0. This would be 2x plus 3 times 0 minus 12 equals 0. Okay, so this is going to obviously be cancel out because 3 and 0 make 0. So I have 2x equals, and I'm going to bring this 12 over as my plus 12 to the other side. Minus 12 becomes plus 12. Now I divide this up by 2, x equals 6. So the x-intercept is 6. The y-intercept, well, the y-intercept is where across the y-axis, and that's where x is 0. So I'm going to make x equal to 0. Okay, that would be a 0. So I have 3y equals, I'll bring that across as positive 12. Divide that by 3. And y equals 4. So now if I graph that, the x-intercept 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the y-intercept is 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. And I can join those with an extended line. And voila. Now I can use that graph in order to find the slope and the y-intercept. Let me change colors here, just so it's not too confusing. Okay, so my slope, of course, is rise over run. If I use this right here, starting here, I have a rise of negative 4, because I'm going down, and a run of positive 6. So that's negative 4 over 6. Negative 4 over 6 reduces to negative 2 over 3. Okay? Now, my y-intercept is equal to, well, it's right there. It's right here, 4. Now, there are equations to find these two things, and using what we just found, we could probably figure out the equations on our own without being told. In fact, this slope here is related to these coefficients. Well, how could I get negative 2/3 from these numbers? Well, if I divide a by b, I would get 2/3, but the answer is negative 2/3. So, quite simply, the slope, or m, equals negative a over b. So in this case, if I was looking at this, negative a is negative 2 over b is my answer. And that is the right answer. Okay? Now on the other hand, if I was looking for the y-intercept before doing all this, the y-intercept, well, it is equal to 4. How do I get 4 from these? Oh, 12 divided by 3 is 4. But this is negative 12 divided by 3, so it's actually negative 4. So again, I've got to change the signs. Negative c over b is the formula. If I plug in these numbers, I have negative, and c is negative 12 over 3. Sorry, that's messy. And that would equal negative 12 is positive 12 over 3 is 4. So the y-intercept is 4. It works. So these formulas are the formulas to find slope and y-intercept from an equation in general form. Okay, finding the slope and y-intercept of an equation written in general form. So let's practice what we just learned. These are those two formulas that I just had written down on the previous slide. Okay, so m equals negative a over b. So that would be negative 6 is a over b is 3. So my answer is negative 2. Okay, in my y-intercept is negative c over b. So that's negative, c is negative 4, over b, which is 3. So my answer is positive 4/3. Done. Let's try this one. My slope is negative a over b. So that's negative 5 over b is negative 2. Answer, 5 halves. Or 2 1/2, or 2.5. Okay, my y-intercept is negative c over b, so that would be negative 8 over b, which is negative 2. Answer, positive 4. It's just that simple. Okay, now we're going to move into our last part of this video, which is on linear equation conversions. So in this first slide, we're going to do slope-intercept form to general form. Okay, so here's a slope-intercept form. We know that that is our y-intercept. We know that this is our slope, or our rate of change. Let's change that to general form. Now, I know in general form I need all my terms to the left side of the equal sign. All of them in order of x and y, then the constant equals 0. So I'm going to bring this all the way across to this side because it changes sides. I'm going to change signs. So that'll be positive 3x. This y is already on the left, so it's not changing. That's a positive y. This 5 will come over as negative 5 equals 0. Okay? Now, let's just make sure it's in proper form. Well, that's an integer. I'm sorry, that's a natural number. That's an integer, invisible 1. And that's an integer, negative 5. It's all good. We're done that one. Okay, how about this one? I want to bring this over first as negative 2/3 x plus y plus 6, that comes over as, equals 0. Okay, well I can't have a denominator here because that's not a natural number, and it's negative. So I'm going to multiply every one of my terms by negative 3. That'll reverse the sign and get rid of the 3 all in one swoop. So if I multiply all my terms by negative 3, this will now be 2x, and I could do that. I could show it. Okay, this negative will cancel out, the 3's will cancel out. Okay, and I have to multiply this term by negative 3, so that's going to be minus 3y. This term by negative 3 is negative 18 equals 0. Okay, now that's a natural number, integer, integer, it's good. Done. Okay, my final slide, we'll be doing the reverse. We're going to take general form equations and write them in slope y-intercept, which is the last way that we can find quickly, without knowing any formulas or anything, the slope and the y-intercept, because once it's in that form, of course, it's self-explanatory. Okay, so let's see. I want to bring all my terms to the right side except for my y, because in slope-intercept, or slope y-intercept, we want y equals something. So I bring everything over except for the y. So this right here stays, so I have negative y. That goes over as negative 2x, because it's going the other side. And that comes over as plus 3. Let me just check. Negative y, negative 2x, plus 3. Yeah. So everything's good, except I don't want to know what negative y is. I want to start off y. Always positive y. So I'm going to multiply all my terms by negative y, or reverse their signs. Y equals 2x minus 3. Done. Okay? Slope-intercept form. Now I can say, the y-intercept is negative 3, the slope is 2. Of course, I could have found the same thing using those formulas on the previous slide. Okay, this one, I'm going to bring all my terms to the right except for my y's. So I have negative 7y's on the left equals, that comes across as negative 3x's. That comes across as minus 14. Okay, so all I've done is shift my terms, x's, and my constants to the right. Now I'm going to get rid of this negative 7 by dividing each side by, or each term by negative 7. These cancel. Y equals, that would be positive 3/7 x plus 2. And I'm done. It's all right to have fractions and decimals and so forth in this form. Okay, that's it. So good luck with this particular lesson on general form of an equation. Write down your questions, bring them to class, and we'll see you then.